Welcome back to the My Inner Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Laura Ferry. It's been a little while since I sat down and recorded a solo episode, and today felt like the right moment to come back home to this space. I just turned 44, and honestly, this season of my life feels different. Softer, stronger, clearer. Messy in some ways, beautiful in others. It feels like a chapter where I'm learning myself all over again as a woman, a mom, a business owner, and someone who's rebuilding her life in real time. So today, I want to share where I'm at, what 44 looks like for me, what it's teaching me, and what I'm stepping into next. No filters, no pretending, just the truth. This is 44. So when you're ready, grab a cup of coffee and come get uncomfortable with me. Hey, welcome to episode 80 of the My Inner Struggle podcast. It's been a little bit since I've sat here by myself, and I wanted to kind of go through some updates that have been going on. And it's kind of crazy to think that, you can always say this, and it's like, I feel like I'm on repeat sometimes. It's like, wow, episode 80. It's kind of crazy to think about. That's 80 conversations that I've either had with myself or someone else, and you've been able to listen in and learn and gain perspective on whatever it is that you might be going through. So I haven't done it in a little bit, and this was kind of fitting because I'm turning 44. When this gets released, my birthday will be the next day, and I've been reflecting on that and where I am in life and what's happening and all of the updates. So if you are someone that reads the blog, you kind of know some information. My blog is kind of those raw thoughts that I go through, whatever might be happening at the time. But this reflection on turning 44, it's been really interesting, this entire journey. I've been going through this for almost 10 years, really. Probably 10 years, actually, because it probably started a little bit before my mom passed away unexpectedly. And that sort of just propelled me in one direction. And I think it's important to think about all of the different things that are going on now in our lives. And I'm just going to plant these seeds for you as I talk about my own journey and see what that sort of brings to the surface for you. All these different parts about life and what's going on. As I enter my 44th year, it's kind of interesting. I don't think that I'd ever thought that I would be here exactly in my life, and that there's nothing bad about it, really. I keep growing every day, and the year that I've had since turning 43 has been amazing. I spent so many years through my 20s and my 30s just unhappy with who I was as a person, what I thought I had to offer. I had no confidence in myself, and I let other people walk all over me and accepted that, for that was what it was. And it wasn't until I started setting boundaries that really started changing for me. And so when I work with people in my business, that is a lot of what we kind of address, because I think that, we don't necessarily realize that we're even violating our own boundaries because it's so normal for us. So that's just a little bit of a mix. I'm going to talk about a lot of different topics. I don't know how long I'm going to talk. We'll see what happens. It was interesting because earlier this year, at the end of September, I sort of reached this point in my podcast where I was like, work has been crazy, but I'm meeting more and more people. And it felt like I was spiraling. I had no extra time for myself. And I now know within myself that I need that solo time in order to still create and still feel like I'm growing and that I can pour back into all of the other people that I do. So I took a step back from the podcast for, I think it was like 5 weeks. And it was like week 1.5 into it that all of a sudden things started exploding and it started getting exposed in more places. And since then, I have talked to so many people all over the world that will be coming on the podcast to talk about their own personal growth journeys and what they are doing with that. A lot of them have become healers themselves, or therapists, or just want to share their own journey so that other people feel less alone, which, as you know, if you've been listening, is my mission in life. I don't want you to feel alone. I want you to know that you have someone else going through it with you. And that was something that I was lacking in my life. I didn't feel seen or heard. And I relied on podcasts, on books, on other inspiration to get me to the next level. And so if I can be that for somebody else, that makes me feel really good. So as I'm entering my 44th year, this year when I turned 43, I actually spent the day by myself. My birthday was on Thanksgiving and I spent it alone and I worked on my vision board. And it wasn't one of those beautiful days alone that you would think of. There was crying, there was reflection, there was journaling, there was working on my vision board. I made myself dinner and I watched movies, and I think it needed to happen in order to get to the next step. There's so much uncertainty, like when you're moving through life, but when you're moving through life solo. And so I don't want to affirm that. It's just kind of a fact, and what's to happen with all of that. I'm going to cover all of that too. But I created this vision board for myself, and I've done them many years now. But I created a new one on my 43rd birthday, and I think that might be my new thing that I do for myself each year on my birthday. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wanted to incorporate more travel into my life. I want to see things. And part of what drives me is the fact that I lost both of my parents. They were young. My dad was 52 when he passed away, and my mother was 62. And they never did the things that they said they wanted to. They just talked about it. And I think they struggled themselves with so many things. And I made a vow to myself, whatever I can do within my means, to have more experiences, even if it's at the local state park, hiking through the woods and just feeling nature, I'm going to do it. But travel has always been one of those things that's been equally exciting and terrifying at the same time. And it can get expensive. Years ago, when I started this solo journey after my divorce, I was like, I'm going to go to places locally that I can get to and just explore what's around me. So I started walking in the woods or running in the woods and just taking pictures. I had a camera, so I would kind of just, use photography and look through the lens at whatever was ordinary around me. But that just getting out in nature and doing something that really inspired me. So last year when I was doing my vision board, there had been some of these places when you're scrolling through social media or whatever, it'll come up, it's beautiful. Where is that? And you click on the picture and it'll tell you it's Montana or Utah or something like that. And when I did my vision board, I had all these different sections, basically, about like my garden or my house, and connections, love, friendship, lots of words meaning different things, like really good conversations and delicious food, or conversations over delicious food, connecting with people. And then a lot of it, the whole one side of it, was traveling different places, just all these different places. And I just thought they were beautiful. And I didn't really have any plans of anything. And I'm like, I'm going to just put this on here and just, that's something that I want to get to eventually. There's no time limit on it or anything. So then I moved into 2025, and I had something unfortunate happened in my business, and one of my biggest clients had verbally agreed to, a set amount of time, or whatever, and then ghosted me. And it was kind of devastating. So I was not really sure what to do. It was early in the year, and I had just launched my book. I had my book launch and I was really excited for that. But here I was trying to figure out what to do month to month, because this client had agreed to work with me and then just kind of left me hanging, and I didn't really have a backup at that point. So that was kind of scary, and I want to be honest with you. So I started walking in the woods. That was what sent me to do it, and that was in February. It was cold out, it was snowy. There's probably 6 inches of snow on the ground, like maybe one of the few times that it snowed, and I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. I had no idea, and I just started walking, and I went on. There's lots of trails where I live, and I just picked one that I kind of knew, and I put on my snow boots and just got moving. And it was probably 3 weeks into these daily walks out in the cold that I realized, man, I just love I just love this here. I love walking outside in the snow. The air smells so fresh. Yes, you're cold, but if you're dressed properly, you're probably fine. And it was just beautiful, and it felt really peaceful. And when you just are there without any music, you're just listening to your feet crunch in the snow and listening to the birds, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I was walking on this one trail through the woods and I looked up and I was like, man, this reminds me of being like in California or out west because I had been there a number of times. And I was like, I really want to see these places that I put on that board. I want to get out west where everything just feels bigger. It just is amazing. And I'm sure there's many places in between. It's just what I had experienced. So by the time March rolled around or mid-March, someone I knew was moving across the country and I had said, I was like, well, maybe you want a travel companion. So it was very last minute and I said, you know what? I have no business jumping on a plane right now and going anywhere, but what the fuck else am I going to do sitting here? I can't panic. I have to just keep moving. And I scraped together whatever I could to get out there and be able to pay for my food along this journey that I was gone. And I did it. I said, fuck it. And 5 days later, I jumped on a plane and then we drove across the country. And I had just loosely said, I have these couple places on my vision board. Like, I wonder if we could like hit some of these. Like, I just kind of, I hadn't anticipated any of this. I didn't, when I created that, I didn't know this was even going to be happening. I had no inclination of that at all. And we hit like 3 or 4 of them on my vision board. And I was just so moved. And there was something so magical about that trip. And even my good friends, when I came back, they're like, something changed in you. And I was another layer of letting go as I was going to these places and just being so small in this vast space. It was fucking incredible. We were driving through the Grand Tetons, like, and up and over the mountain pass between, it happened 2 times actually, between Jackson Hole and the Tetons, and then in the opposite direction too. So going into Jackson Hole and then leaving Jackson Hole. And we were in like a blizzard basically, and there was 6 inches of snow on the ground. And I asked them to like pull over, and I got out and I just stood there in the snow for a good few minutes, just feeling it on my face and breathing in the air. And we were probably like 9,000 feet in the air. And it's just so fucking amazing. And I really believe that I let go of a lot of things on that trip, moving through each state and just seeing just how vastly different it is from where I am and just being out and getting out of that bubble. And it felt amazing. And another spot was in South Dakota, in the Black Hills of South Dakota. We kind of ventured off, kind of near where Crazy Horses, ventured off into the woods, went through these majorly cool, windy roads up the mountain, and wound up, I got out in this clearing and I'm just looking at the trees and the sound of the wind going through the trees. It sounded like water. And I'm like, oh, there must be like a waterfall or something. But it was actually the wind whipping through the trees. And it was so fucking cool and just amazing. And that trip truly changed so much of me and coming back. And I wrote a lot and I did a lot of videos and stuff like that. I was trying to launch the next thing, and keep moving because nothing's going to happen if I stop. I have to keep moving. And it's helped me redefine myself. It's helped me build on my own love for myself, which I never existed until the last few years, and rebuilding my self-worth in several layers and just learning to trust my intuition. So I think that having all of that happen sent me on this like huge, deeper path of trusting myself and my intuition and knowing when I need to step away and just figure it out and let it happen. Trust in myself and God and the universe or whatever it is that you believe, to just let it happen, let go and let it happen, because what's meant for you will come through. And so that was a really big lesson And that has shaped me so much. And when I came back from that, I felt like a new woman. I blogged the fuck out of everything and started writing again. And that felt really, really good. Still didn't know what was going to happen exactly, but things like slowly started falling into place and then accelerating. And I truly believe that that wouldn't have happened had I not gotten out of here, gotten out of my bubble and experienced that. And this theme that I've been living all year is like coming home to myself. And that's been really, really amazing. And I get emotional just thinking about it because where it was, and I can remember those nights just broken, and it was scary. And then I came back from that trip and I felt like a totally different person, like completely transformed. And I just look at everything so much differently now. And then moving forward, I had been nominated for a few awards within the county that I really didn't think I had any business even being nominated for. I knew that I felt really good. I didn't know that I had that much of an impact, which was kind of hard to believe and understand. And I think that most of us in business will suffer from imposter syndrome at one point or another. But I think that, like going through that was just a very surreal experience. And then I was nominated. I have no idea who nominated me for an Inspiring Women's Award. And I was sitting in that room of women that were all deserving of that. And I didn't feel like I deserved that at all because there are so many other people that are working just as hard as I am that did deserve it. But I am going to accept it because I do know that I help people. And it took me a little while to come to terms with that one. I was shaking and I really didn't know what to do with all of that information. But I don't think that had I not gotten out of this bubble and had that experience, I don't think that I would be there, and I don't think I would be here now. Motherhood at 44. Let's think about this. My kids are my favorite people in the entire world, and I think they know that. I don't think I've ever appreciated them more in my life. I had a really hard time being a mom in my 20s and early 30s, and if you've read my book, you know that. Um, but I can't I can't say there's no word that will describe the I was just going to use some really like wrong language. I know, but like I am so immensely proud of them. It's not even funny. And just the amazing people that they're turning into. And that is really the only thing that matters to me is that they're a good person. I don't care um what kind of job they have. I want them to just feel proud of themselves and be good people and be happy because that is like the number one thing that rules everything. And reflecting back on like where I came from, I remember, what I would hear, the things that I would say that I'd want to do and it would be immediately shot down. And my kids just have this amazing, just, I don't know, I can't even think of the word, amazing glow about them. I am so proud of them doing all of their things. And the fact that they all call me or FaceTime me during the day or when, whatever. And it's just, I miss you, Mom. I miss you. I love you. I'm thinking of you. And it feels so good. Again, if you read my book, you'll get it. And if you haven't yet, please do. It's kind of crazy. The emotional reality of like being a mom or mothering will also rebuild the emotional reality of rebuilding yourself while you're a mom is kind of overwhelming at times. But I feel like every new step that I go through with them, it's like sometimes it feels like you're watching a movie, and especially with my youngest because I I truly believe she is me reincarnated in some fashion, and it's like a mirror sometimes. So it's been incredible, absolutely incredible. The journey from doing everything and stepping into coaching. I hate using the word coach, but leadership and strategy with my business, or Fairy Growth Co., has been amazing. I am working with the most amazing business owners right now that I have, and I can't even. It's strange because when you become yourself and you attract the people that are just like you, I guess, really, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. And the women that I have brought on as clients this year are nothing short of amazing people. They've become friends, and it's just so cool to help them, watch them grow and help them grow and help them strategize in their business and grow that so that they can, fuel their dreams. It's just so fucking cool. And I love what I do in all of these aspects, and really shifting from like that need for clients to actually having to complete like value-based work, letting go of those clients that really aren't in alignment. And it's been scary a few times. Like I said, I lost that one, and then I came back, and then I've worked with, or collaborated with some others, and it didn't feel good. It felt icky, even though I didn't know exactly what was going to happen after that. Kind of stepped away from those things because it wasn't in alignment. Those are all scary things, financially mostly, right? Because at the end of the day, like, how are you going to pay your bills if you're not working with these people? But when it's sucking your soul, like, how are you supposed to grow? And so I truly believe that letting go and just knowing that it'll work out has changed everything. And I used to say that all the time, but I don't know if I was really living that 10 years ago when I'd share a meme about, this should be in alignment or whatever. I wasn't really living that then. And now I've been embodying this practice for the last few years. That's why it's been so emotional, because you are letting so much go in order to let the good come in. And the more we let fall down that isn't in alignment with where we want to go, the better we become. Seriously, it's a feeling that's indescribable. I want to celebrate for a minute how far I've come with those clients that I have that are in alignment now. The events that I've been hosting for the past several years, it's been almost 3 years since I stepped out of that role that was no longer serving me. Another part of that scariness of letting go, and jumped full force into my business with a good period in between where I was growing and figuring out whatever my next step was going to be, to launching this podcast, which now is 80 episodes in, publishing my book and publishing so many blogs, and really launching the Self Love Club and watching that grow between our meetup community and the paid monthly subscription. It's been incredible. I've met some really, really amazing women who are ready to grow and really just put their efforts in where it's needed in order to get to their next step. I have a few lessons that I wrote down that I wanted to share as going into 44 is you can build something from nothing again and again and again. And I am living proof of that, because that's happened over and over and over again. Just because you have in business, just because you have people that are interested and want to work with you, doesn't mean that they're signing up at the next moment. What I do requires a lot of trust and a lot of conversation, and someone has to be ready for that. And it's a long sales cycle, if nothing else. Like, when you think about it in a business perspective, you have to be ready to get up every day, even if, your bank account is kind of low and you're not really sure where the next client is going to come from or anything like that. You have to just keep going, because it's all going to work out. We talk about this a lot at the empowerment party. So if you are local and you want to come to an empowerment party, I urge you to do so. It's just a different experience. It's networking, but it's just relationship building and meeting some really amazing women. You don't have to be a business owner to be included in that either, but we talked about just, knowing like those first few years in business are really hard, financially mostly, right? And you have to, because we hold so much of our confidence is tied to our bank account, really. And even though you're doing great things, your bank account may not reflect that yet, but just keep going. I was talking with one of my business owners this morning, and she's in it right now. It's tough. There's not a lot of funds in the account. Things are going well, but you have to just keep pushing, because it'll eventually even itself out. It can be a roller coaster for a little bit. So that was one. You can build something from nothing again and again. Boundaries aren't walls. They're safety. They're safety. And it's okay if you have to set a boundary, even when it's with someone that you love. It's especially important then. You're allowed to want more. I had in one of my previous relationships, actually, I remember them saying, like, it's never enough, it's never enough. And no, it's never enough. It's not an unhealthy, like, want to do better or want more for yourself. It's not, I'm not talking about material possessions. I'm wanting to keep growing and keep moving. Because what's the point of staying in one spot? We only have this one chance at this. So you're allowed to want more. Community over isolation. I think there are periods of isolation that we need to go through in order to get to the other side. I'm going to have to say that because when you are left to your own devices and sitting in that yuckiness, sometimes that's necessary in order to get to the next step. You can be soft and strong at the same time. That is so true. You can set your healthy boundaries and command presence and command what you're worth, whether if you're a business owner or not, but, even in a relationship, but you can also be soft. It doesn't have to be one or the other exactly. And we talk about staying in your feminine rather than your masculine, but you can have that coexisting at the same time, I believe, in different departments or situations. Money comes when you lead with clarity and confidence. There is no doubt in my mind that when I have let go of those things that were super uncomfortable, not really in alignment, it's hard to take that leap and say, you know what, this is really, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is really not the direction that I want to be in. Stand in your confidence, knowing that you can move forward in another direction, and the direction that is in better alignment with you. It'll be fruitful, I promise, especially when you get closer to that thing that you've always wanted, that picture. And the last thing that I want to say is the lesson of the year for me is that my intuition is my North Star. I've talked about it before that about a year ago or a little bit longer, I started using tarot to kind of guide me through the day. And there's a lot of people that have different opinions on anything, but I think honestly, what the consensus is that you're using your intuition. I already know the answer, but I needed the confidence to back myself up. And sometimes it feels better just having that reassurance. I mean, I already know. If I'm in a situation and it doesn't feel good, I already know that it doesn't feel good and there's a reason for that. If I'm asking other people's opinions about this thing, I'm looking for reassurance on that. So when we can look within in order to get that validation, that's the most important thing. And I think that was the biggest factor for me in this year. The next topic that I kind of wanted to talk about was love, relationships, and reopening my heart. This is a tough one. I don't really talk about this much on the podcast that much. It's been a few years, and I think I'm finally ready to open my heart to the possibility of love again. And I was just talking with a friend about this morning, and it's scary. But is your fear bigger than your desire? No, it is something that I want in my life. So I am going to put myself in the right headspace and start venturing down that path. I was completely closed off from that for the past few years, and rightfully so. I think I had more work to do, but I think that I'm finally ready. And that difference between dating from fear and dating from self-worth is the biggest factor. It's just different. And I don't know prior to like my last relationship that I ever felt like I was moving into that based on my own self-worth. I think it was more about attachment than anything. That just doesn't discount the love for sure, but it was more about comfortability, and I'm petrified, but I think that I'm open to connection, partnership, and reciprocal love at this point. I trust myself and I've unlearned those old patterns, and we won't ever get to the point that we want to get to without exposing ourselves to the thing. So we can think about that in a lot of different ways. I am so grateful to my community. It's unbelievable. The My Inner Struggle community, if you're on Facebook, that has grown tremendously, and that's really cool. The Self-Love Club, both the meetup, community meetup, and the paid membership. That's been really awesome to meet so many great women that just love life. I know it's like funny, but it's really awesome. I've been doing these community walks once a month for the past few years, and they've grown, and a lot more different people are coming out, and that's really exciting. And I love watching that. The empowerment party, is community led as well. And it's an event put together just to inspire. So you can come to them time after time. I have different speakers at each one, various like women business owners sharing their own personal growth and what they've gone through, and just their everything, how they got to where they were. And all of these women that I've met along the way, it's been truly, truly awesome. Sharing my business has changed me. Sharing my personal journey has changed me. And it's been really cool. You try out different things, and there's been weeks where I've been like annoyed because I feel like people are kind of not, I don't want to say like kind of mimicking what I'm doing a little bit. And it doesn't really bother me so much that I put a lot of effort into it. So, but the thing is that you can't grow using someone else's story. So you might be able to take the template or something like that, but I am who I am and people like me for me, and you are who you are and people like you for you. If you are a business owner and you're not succeeding right now, I would strongly suggest that you take a look at yourself in the mirror and kind of figure out what it is that you are putting out. What is that vibe? Because you are your business. And there's such magic in supporting each other, instead of knocking each other down. And that's really what the empowerment party is all about, is actually building each other up and not on a surface level when you actually meet these people and connect with them and care. Things that I'm dreaming of at 44 is financial stability. Stability would be amazing, because when you are an entrepreneur, it is a bit of a roller coaster for a while. And that would be something that would free me up to continue doing things in good service. So that is really exciting and going to happen at 44. Growing my coaching business and continue building a life rooted in peace, alignment, and purpose, because this feels really good. It feels really good that I'm passing this on to my children. And it feels really good that I'm passing this on to so many other women that maybe didn't see themselves before and needed to. I'm looking at expanding my events and podcast and book. And I'm speaking with a publisher this week. So that's really exciting. And I'm raising my kids with presents. They have me here. I'm not perfect. I might forget, what day music is and have to run something to school. I might not be the best homework checker, but I am me and I love them dearly, and they know that. I'm dreaming of attracting love into my life at 44 and just feeling emotionally and financially safe. That was a lot. I want you to listen to this episode without judgment and think about all of those different elements in your own life and see if there's any takeaways that you have. I'd love to hear from you if you have any. I want you to know that it's never too late to reinvent yourself. That is one thing that I hear from women, probably, a little bit older than me, going, oh, I've gotten this far. It's too late now. No, it's not. It's really not. It's never too late. You're not behind and you're not broken. There's always room. You're allowed to grow, change, and rise whenever you want to. And you can build a life that feels like you. And if you don't know what you feels like, that's the thing that you have to start checking into. 44 isn't the end. It's a beginning of a new chapter, and that feels really good. I hope that you got something out of this. I think I did, actually, just talking about this out loud. If this resonated with you, please share it with a friend and subscribe wherever you are reading or watching. I really love doing this. I love what I'm doing. I love that I'm doing the things that I want to do every day, and people are getting something out of it, and that makes me really proud of myself. So here's to 80 more episodes. Here is to another year of growth and love. And I'm thinking of you and sending you love, and I will see you soon.